Hey everybody, it's George from Earl and George. I just want to thank you guys for listening to this week's show and invite you to check us out on Facebook at Earl and George. Also, go to earlandgeorge.com. And remember, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, listen on TuneIn, download Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google thing. I don't know what that is. Earl set that up. But look, I just want to thank you guys for supporting the show and continue to tell your friends and tell your neighbors about Earl and George, Aged Conservative Talk.
Two old guys that ain't taking their crap no more. You're listening to Earl and George.
Welcome to another episode of Earl and George, our weekly wrap-up alt nothing show. My name is George.
And my name is Earl.
Today's theme is people using their liberties protected by the Constitution to destroy the liberties protected by the Constitution.
I was wondering what we were going to talk about.
I mean, literally, we've got for the next 2 hours, thank you for joining us, all kinds of stuff to talk about. We have Six Flags is now Five Flags. We have Iceland eradicating Down syndromes. Let's give you a break on that one. Bannon out of the White House. Statues everywhere being defaced and torn down. But our top story, of course, is the events of Charlottesville that happened this past week.
Horrible.
Right off the top, I would like to say that our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the woman that was killed by the lunatic Nazi guy.
Indeed.
Okay? Nothing excuses the behavior of anybody with violence in their heart. All right? If you want to stand in the public square and you want to speak what you believe, whether anybody else agrees with you or not, according to the conservative principles that I believe in, and my name is George, you have the right, and I will defend your right to stand in the public square and say things I disagree with, be it Nazism or Satanism or whatever, okay? I am not going to shut you down. I am not scared of your words. But we have come to a point now where people who claim to be against fascism, and I challenge everybody listening to go and look up the definition of fascism. Earl, I think you already looked up the definition of
fascism. Look up what it stands for.
Look up the definition of fascism and tell me that the quote-unquote Antifa, anti-fascist group, are not freaking fascists. Do you have that?
Yeah, the only part that they don't have that's by the definition of fascism is they are not a dictatorial power by definition, but they are forcibly suppressing the opposition, and they are a radical authoritarian type group. Which fascism is a form of radical authoritarian nationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcibly suppression of opposition, and control of industry and commerce.
So if you are a student of history and you go back, this is all kind of reminiscent of another country right around the 1930s.
Right.
Do you know who controlled Germany in the 1930s?
Their party.
It was the communists.
Yep.
Right? So, and by the way, I want to just right off the bat, don't believe a word I say. If you're listening to this show, absolutely, whatever comes out of Earl's mouth and my mouth, go look it up. The communists were the predominant philosophy of the day in the 1920s and early 30s in Germany. Yep, the anti-fascists, that's where they came from. The anti-fascist movement started in Germany, in the Weimar Republic.
Right.
Okay? And as that movement grew, communism was pushed out and replaced with Nazism, which, by the way, was National Socialism. Now, let's see who the Nazis then made alliances with. An empire called the Japanese and the fascist dictator in Italy, Benito Mussolini. There's no freaking difference, man. Right?
Right.
So they come in and they say, We are against fascism. Okay, define fascism. Anything we disagree with is literally their defense. And then like they're so twisted. They say, we're with the minorities, and we're with gay people, and we stand up for the rights of women, and this and that and the other thing. And then the material they give out talks about the fascist and their Hebe masters. That's a quote, by the way.
Really?
From an Antifa pamphlet that came out. They're Hebe masters.
Dude.
So overtly anti-Semitic. But you know what? They're fighting for everybody's equal rights. Unless they deem your speech, your free speech, as quote-unquote hate speech. Can I just propose something to the world? Everybody listening across the country right now on Spreaker and SoundCloud and Stitcher and iTunes and listening on this on a podcast if you downloaded it later. Listen, the only speech that truly needs to be protected in the United States of America with the First Amendment is freaking hate speech.
Right.
Because if everybody's like, yeah, we totally agree with you, there's no need to protect it.
Right.
It's the protection of people we disagree with.
Because they don't understand, if they start saying that we can't say certain things, one day somebody's going to say, well, they can't say it either. They're not understanding the roll down of what can happen by saying hate speech doesn't need to be protected, because somewhere down the line somebody can deem what they're saying as hate speech.
I propose that we stop calling them Antifa.
Right. They should.
The acronym Antifa doesn't mean anti-fascist.
Yeah, you figured out a good thing to call them.
The acronym Antifa truly means anti-free America.
Yep.
Is what it means. So don't believe all of this, oh, we're fighting for this and that and the other. No, these are street thugs. They show up with baseball bats and shields. I mean, they're ready to fight.
Yeah.
Here's the question. They show up with their ninja masks on.
So they can loot.
Yep, and their faces covered. And if they deem your speech, your First Amendment, is antithetical, is opposite of what they say is what it should be, then they will loot and burn and attack you violently. And it's only a matter of time before one of these Antifa people baseball bats a dude in the face.
Yep. If it hadn't already happened, it just hadn't been reported.
Oh, and of course it'll be a group of innocent protesters had to defend themselves violently against, and that's how it's going to be reported. Yeah.
Aggressors.
Now, I am totally not defending neo-freaking Nazis,
No.
Okay? Absolute Nazism in all forms is evil. Slavery in all forms is evil. I just want to say that again, just in case anybody wants to edit this show down and go, Earl and George love the Nazis. Listen to me. Nazism in all forms is evil. Slavery in all forms is evil. We're going to get into the slavery thing and the all that stuff, the statues and all that stuff. So even after they have turned Heather Hare, the young woman who died by being run over by this lunatic,
37.
Well, she's 10 years younger than me.
Right.
Even as they made her a martyr. By the way, she was with the violent anti-Nazi protesters, okay?
Yep.
Right? Her mom apparently reached out to the president and said, whatever. We're going to play some clips from him later on. Even as they were making her a martyr, Antifa showed up at her memorial service in Charlottesville.
Really?
Yeah. The Hill reporter Taylor Lawrence tweeted out Wednesday a photo of people outside the theater with where the memorial service was held. The protesters were holding purple shields and baseball bats.
Oh, wow.
Outside the memorial service.
And they were purple because that was her favorite color.
Yeah. There's another story where a woman showed up wearing a hat for a college organization, and I can't remember the name of it. I just scanned the story. She went to that memorial with the intent of memorializing this woman who lost her life needlessly, obviously, in in violent protest. She was attacked by the Antifa group because of a hat she wore that said the name of this college free speech group. She wasn't overt about it. She wasn't attacking them. She went to try to, memorialize Heather Hare, and she was then attacked. They broke her camera. They ripped the hat off her head and threw. They choked her with the strap for her camera.
Dude.
At the memorial service of Heather Hare. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what is happening in our country.
But they weren't the violent ones, according to the left.
Absolutely not. Oh, they're just a bunch of peaceful protesters in their purple baseball bats. Now, something else that came out of the violence. Immediately, there was this thing on Facebook where they were taking pictures of and blowing them up and saying, identify this person, find out who their job, and people are losing their jobs for going and expressing what they believe. Now, granted, I'm not defending Nazism, but I'm also not defending the anti-free America crowd known as Antifa, okay? I'm not defending any of those people. But why is that not? Oh, well, wait a minute. They have to cover their face. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They cover their face because they're freaking cowards. But yet they'll call out people carrying tiki torches, right? I absolutely agree with the play cut 2 for me. This is a President Trump. Play cut 2 for me.
So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
And it's absolutely the truth. Now, did they hear the part where he said, and the neo-Nazis need to be condemned completely? No, they didn't hear that at all. What they heard was, and people in the Antifa Black Lives Matter group, there were good people there too, but there were also agitators. He calls Black Lives Matter and Antifa agitators. The president sides with the Nazis.
It's ridiculous.
And they wonder why he says, you're fake news. If you would report what I said accurately, we wouldn't have this.
Right.
Oh, are you going to condemn the Nazis? Are you going to condemn this? Are you going to condemn that? Well, play cut 7 for me.
As I said on, remember this, Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there.
What more do you want? He doesn't know the name. We condemn Steve and John and Bill and Sarah and and Adolf and what do they want from him?
I don't know. And because they claim that even though the words came out of the man's mouth, they claim that when he first tweeted out, they said that he didn't condemn it in any way. And I'm going, I read the tweet like 12 times. I'm like, really? He said he condemned it. He just didn't say which section he was condemning, and that's what angered him.
He was absolutely correct about who was in the crowd, okay? The entire side of the free speech guys, the Unite the Right people, were not neo-Nazis. But that's what the media wants you to think. The entire side of anti-neo-Nazi people were not Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But that's what they're peaceful protesters. That's all they were doing. By the way, violating the law because they had no permit to do that.
And they had their faces covered.
And the cops were told to stand down. Why? Because chaos equals ratings, and ratings equals money. They're building this up. You are all being manipulated by the media. Now, back to this real quick. Back to the story. We're going to take a break in like 2 minutes. But back to the story where they were identifying. They're doxing these people. That's the new term is you're doxing them. Where you find something that you don't like, right? And then you go to, let's make them famous. Let's make them famous. Let's get them fired. Let's get them fired. Let's get them, they have to recuse themselves. They have to do this. They have to do that. So this guy was carrying a tiki torch, right? He's wearing a shirt from the University of Arkansas Engineering Department. It says Arkansas Engineering, right? He looks exactly, and I mean, when you put the two pictures side to side, he looked exactly like a professor who works at the University of Arkansas Engineering Department. He looks exactly like him. I made the mistake, and I'm like, that's the same dude. Totally not the same dude, because the guy who is actually the engineering professor now getting death threats. He's had to take his family into hiding. And by the way, he was at like an art museum with a bunch of his friends at some gala opening. He was like 1,700 miles away with a bunch of his colleagues and friends at like an art museum. But now everybody's there. Now he's death threats. They had to move his family out of the house.
Who's threatening him? I know it's not the peaceful protesters.
I think it could be the anti-free American crowd known as Antifa. Yeah, here we go. Let me just. The mistake brought him an onslaught of vulgar messages on social media, including posts revealing his family's home address and calling for him to be fired.
Yeah, they love to do that.
That's doxing.
They love to put people's addresses and stuff out there.
Yeah. You have celebrities and hundreds of people doing no research online, no fact checking. They said, quote, I've dedicated my life to helping all people, trying to improve healthcare and train the next generation of scientists, and this is potentially throwing a monkey wrench in that.
Wow.
Well done. Well done, guys. However, okay, all right. So yeah, that's the top story of the week. Here's how it works. You had an anti-free speech group on one side. You had an when I come back, sorry,
figure it out.
Both sides were violent. Both sides. It wasn't about a General Lee statue.
Nope.
Does anybody else want to buy a General Lee, the car?
I would.
Right. I would rock that. That'd be my daily driver.
Yep.
It's Earl and George. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about 4 flags, or however many flags I got left when we come back.
Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book? Hi. Sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Mama always said that if you keep making that face, it's going to stay that way. You're listening to Earl and George.
And that's the face we're talking about. Welcome back. Help us spread the message about Earl and George, if you would. Share it with your friends and your neighbors, and tell them where you can find us. iTunes. You can subscribe to the iTunes podcast. You can now download the Earl and George mobile app, which, of course, brought to you by Spreaker. And it's automatically updated when we do this. Now, of course, we're live. So we probably need to log into Spreaker and see what comments we're getting. Or not. I mean, whatever. By the way, the phone system, 800-684-9925, is in the process of being moved from the one provider to the other provider. By the way, that is the worst thing to ever go. You thought like a colonoscopy or a home loan was bad? Try switching an 800 number from one provider to another provider that hate each other. It's like, no. Yeah, it's not. We're not doing that.
Yep.
I'm trying to find that. I posted something on Facebook earlier, and I can't find the headline post that I did. I think you saw it. Remember, it said headline, and I can't.
Where'd you post it?
I can't. Yeah, one of the 14 bajillion freaking places. Hang on, I'll find it. I'll find it here in a minute. So, Six Flags Over Texas. Let's talk about Six Flags Over Texas real quick. But I really want to find that headline post that I did. It's really bothering me now.
But it's not Six Flags anymore.
No, it's like 4.5 flags. Man, what did I do with that stupid post?
I don't know.
Or did Facebook take it down?
They could have.
Did they take it off the Earl and George page? Was it on the Earl and George page that I did that headline?
I think
Let's
so.
Let's see. No. Dude, I'm telling you, they took down that post. And it was like, headline. Dang it. I can't remember what I wrote. I got to find it. It's driving me crazy.
The one about Antifa?
No, the Antifa one stayed, but it just said headline.
Oh. The militant anti-diversity.
Yeah, that's it. What is it?
Yeah.
It says headline.
The militant anti-diversity people and the militant pro-diversity people staged protests on the same day in the same city over the same thing. Both sets of militant fanatics suffered injuries, and a pro-diversity woman died at the hands of an anti-diversity lunatic. College football starts in just under 3 weeks, and North Korea still sucks.
That's real news right there.
Right,
Let me just say, that's not fake news. Okay, anyway, help us spread the word. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker, SoundCloud.
Google Play.
I missed one again.
Yep.
I can't get them all. Again, the new Earl and George app is available on iTunes, and then the website is still being worked on.
Yeah,
because it's hideous.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's hideous.
It's horrible. It's what I call a throw-up site.
Yeah, yes, we're going to be working on that one. Now, Six Flags Over Texas used to have a flag representing each chapter of the state's history flying over its entrance, hence Six Flags. One flag representing the United States, Spain, France, Mexico, the Republic of Texas, and most infamously, according to Aaron Colin, who wrote this article, the Confederate States of America. Now, why did they choose Six Flags? Why those six?
School me.
The reason they chose those six is in this article. The regional theme park based in Arlington, Texas, decided Friday morning. No, we're not going to do that part. Okay. Historically, because this quote from them, at Six Flags Over Texas, we strive, blah, 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 blah. We strive every day to, whatever. We always chose to focus on celebrating the things that unite us versus those that divide us. Historically, each flag that flew over the state of Texas, Spain, France, Mexico, the United States, the Republic of Texas, and the Confederacy were all part of Texas history. So they chose those six flags and named their company Six Flags.
Right. Founded in Grand Prairie, Texas.
So now they've decided, for the obvious cowardly reason, to remove one of the flags. My question is, do they now remove all the other ones?
They did. The only flags that are up are the American flags.
So they fly six American flags now.
At the entrance in all parts of the park.
So they fly one flag.
Yep.
So it's now one flag.
Yep.
It's not even five flags. It's like, hey, where are you going this weekend? I'm going to go down to one flag. But there are more than one flag, so now you have to call it one flags, which is totally grammatically incorrect.
Yep.
The sons of the two founders disagree on it. Two sons of Six Flag owner over Texas founder Angus Wayne Jr., Shannon and Angus III, disagree. Angus says, I love that name. I wish my name was Angus.
Pretty Scottish.
Be Earl and Angus. That'd be awesome. Angus said he would rather remove the flags than have it become a source of division, while Shannon, the clear-headed one, said removing the other flags is an overreach. Quote, the fact is that the Confederacy did exist, and Texas was part of it, Shannon Wine said to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
But we don't want to. We don't want that to be true. We want to get rid of the Confederacy and all mentions of it. We want it to go away. No, it's bad.
What?
The Confederacy.
What is that?
Yeah, it's gone.
I mean, I learned about it in school, but now we can't talk about that.
Whitewashing.
Why it got to be white?
That's what.
Why can't you brownwash it? Okay. What should we go on to next? Should we move from that into the statue thing?
Yes.
By the way, coming up later in the show, we've got obviously the douche of the week. Okay, got the douche of the week. Also, we're going to cover Iceland and their moral equivalency of eradicating Down syndrome.
Yeah, there were. This was posted on our Facebook page, and there were a lot of people that were reacting to that story.
I posted it on our Facebook page,
right?
Because it breaks my heart. It literally, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. And I'm going to give you the moral equivalency, and you're going to shake your head and go, I can't believe this dude just said that.
And they're going to say you're wrong.
They're going to say I'm wrong?
Yeah, they're going to say you can't compare them. You're talking about what we were talking about before we started.
Why
right?
can't I can't? Okay, we're going to talk about it later on. And then, of course, we're going to move into the Steve Bannon thing. I posted earlier this week, Steve Bannon had no place in the White House. As soon as he started to undermine the president, you're gone, man. Right. You're gone. Especially your chief strategist. Now he's out with a new interview, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The statue thing. The statue thing is killing me. Okay, and I wrote earlier this week about, and by the way, it was shared. Let's see, what am I up to? 30 times. It was shared 30 times so far. That you can't erase the hatred of the past and perceived hatred today by taking down Confederate statues. It doesn't do anything except piss people off.
Right.
They're not symbols of hate. Okay? I used to live in Seattle, Washington. All right? I have been to the statue of Lenin. I was not offended by it. It's a statue.
Right.
It's not Lenin himself. Okay? I am anti-communist. I am not I am a capitalist. I am a constitutional conservative. The statue of Lenin, I was like, there's a statue of Lenin. You guys hungry? Literally, that's what happened, right? I could care less if there was a statue of Adolf Hitler. I don't care. It has no bearing on my life. Is not complete or incomplete because all of the statues are still standing. I don't care, right? I also, look, I have no problem with Holocaust memorials. I have no problem with Martin Luther King memorials. And I think defacing and destroying these monuments, these statues to fallen American veterans, regardless of whether they're with the Union or the Confederacy.
Right, because General Lee actually got accepted into West Point.
They're all these generals were West Point graduates,
right, which is
they were
an
all
easy
friends.
Task.
Many of them said, "Look, on the other side of that battlefield is my best friend." In fact, they sent messages back and forth. They had couriers going back and forth. Hey, Bill, how's the wife and kids? Oh, Jack, not bad. How are you? Yep. See you on the battlefield tomorrow morning. Good luck. Hope you make it. You too, brother.
Yep.
And then at the end of the war, guess what they did? They all went off and did. Some of them became senators. It's like it was America fighting America. And I got in this argument with this guy about some guy, Mr. Coates, apparently some big-time smart dude, whatever. He puts out that at the end of World War II, when the Nazis were defeated, their leadership, quote unquote, was hanged.
Huh.
Right?
Right.
And at the end, and did you see the quote? And then, of course, and it's by the way, I got to admit, the people that were commenting back were not like, "Oh, you racist Nazi pig." No. They had well thought out, and it was a great debate. I am perfectly okay with great debate.
Me too.
Because at the end, there's mutual respect.
Well, there should be.
Yeah, right. That's why it's called debate, not a violent protest to you. So his equivalency was, why did we not hang all of the Confederate generals and their leaders at the end? And I was like, what? How would that have healed the nation?
Right.
Even we didn't actually do all of the Nazi leadership, only those accused and tried of war crimes.
And convicted.
Of war crimes, right. Now, over here, and that was trying to heal Germany. It was trying to heal after the war because we are a country of reconciliation. We are not Pol Pot. We're not Idi Amin. We don't go into the country and slaughter everybody. We're not Stalin, okay? Right. We are the United States of America. And those who we defeat, we want to be our friends. Go look at Japan. We freaking nuked them, man.
Right. And they're one of our best allies.
And now they're our biggest trading partner. So we are a country of reconciliation. We are a country of reconciliation after war, right? We destroyed the country of Afghanistan. We've been trying to rebuild it for 13 years.
And getting out of it.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? Whatever. So after the Civil, we're not going to do that. That would have been like, oh, look, here's another Confederate general hanging from a jib because at the hands of those Union bastards.
Yeah.
That would have not healed the country at all. And it took decades, and allowing the South, the defeated South, to memorialize somebody who went to West Point, New York.
Yeah.
They were an American soldier. Now, General Lee, he was totally against it. General Lee, at the end of the Civil War, said, you know what? Don't do it. But they disagreed with him, and all these, at the end of the 1900s, right at the beginning of the turn of the century, all these Confederate monuments started popping up.
Yeah, I noticed that was the common thing between most of them, that it was all like 1908, 1905 that they were all erected. So
right. And what they do is they surmise that, well, that's when the Jim Crow laws were being passed, and we wanted to keep the black people down and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you know what? If I throw a bunch of food and straw into a corner, rats aren't going to suddenly appear. Okay, that's the recipe for rats. That's called a supposition. It's failed logic. It's a flaw in his logic. So it's the kind of same thing with vaccines. It's totally flawed logic. But so that's what they're surmising. Oh well, Jim Crow laws were passed, and we have this increase in Confederate statues. Therefore, one is tied to the other. That's totally wrong. So allowing the South to memorialize their soul, and there's even one called the Freedom Statue.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. I like that.
Where it's an angel who is telling a Confederate soldier, lay down your arms, was defaced. They were trying to rip it down. It's called the Freedom Statue. But
it was
they perceived that it was a symbol of hatred. Therefore, they have this moral high ground. I perceive it as a statement of hate. Therefore, I am entitled to destroy that. I perceive that Stonewall Jackson statue as a symbol of hate. Therefore, I'm entitled to tear it down. I perceive that General Lee statue as a symbol of hate, that flag as a symbol of hate. And I ended that entire debate on Facebook by saying, look, we are on a very slippery, undefined slope.
Indeed.
Okay? This is not a tinfoil hat conversation. You are not talking me down from the crazy tree. They have defined nothing. It is simply a perceived injustice, and immediately they feel entitled to stand up and do something about it. Do me a favor and play cut 9.
This one's horrible. I hate this one.
Can I ask anybody why they were chanting "New York hates you"? As a rant, Mr. Producer, do you know?
Negative.
Earl?
No.
Okay, that's outside Trump Tower. While the president is inside Trump Tower. Do you know what his speech was about?
No.
Anybody?
Well, I do, but
infrastructure. How we are going to rebuild the roads and bridges and train systems and waterworks and get American back to job. He was talking about how many we've created 1 million jobs in the 7 months of his presidency. We've done this. We're bringing manufacturing back. I want to bring back manufacturing. I want jobs to come back. Play cut 9 again. I want jobs to come back to the American people. I want to put American workers back to work. Look at all the jobs we've created. We're going to fix the roads and we're going to fix the bridges. And this crap is going on outside.
It's deplorable. Beyond deplorable. And they called us the deplorable ones.
It's this perceived hatred that is leading to actual hatred.
Yeah.
They are not entitled. You are not. America, listen to me. You are not entitled to get your freaking feelings hurt. I'm sorry, to not get your freaking feelings hurt.
Right.
Grow up. Look, if the statue offends you, oh well, be offended. Don't destroy it.
I kind of feel in the same exact way. I was talking to somebody earlier during the week, and it's just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can kind of see both sides, not really, because I'm kind of, but it's just people, I just want people just to be quiet. Just make a decision and just be quiet and move on. It's not like, and what I pointed out to, the person I was talking to, is that there's way bigger issues that are out there. We still are, the whole Korea thing's still going on. Let's focus on that instead of focusing on
Wait,
the
I'm
statue.
sorry. Did you say Korea?
Or not Korean, whatever.
North
Korea.
Yeah. What's going on there? I have no idea. I mean, we got, protests in Boston on Fox News.
I mean?
It's actually ended. It actually stopped. Because,
did it really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that on the mainstream media.
Not.
And
they don't want Trump to get any positive press.
There was this other thing that was going on. Was it? I've totally forgotten now because this is now what we talk about. Was it Russian collusion?
Yep.
What?
I think so.
What was that? What?
No? Huh?
Was the beginning of was it NFL preseason? I have totally nothing else is happening in the world, by the way. Nothing.
Besides protests and anti-protests.
Nothing else in the world is happening except play cut 9. Nothing else is happening in the United States except Russian collusion?
North Korea?
No. I don't know, some country out there that's threatening to nuke us. What?
Venezuela?
But what's going on? People are dying in the streets in Venezuela, but no, nothing else is going on. There's more. We have more. I have an entire stack of statue stories.
The thing I find funny about that whole chant about New York hates you, they don't realize, forget the fact that the man's president right now. Just take that out.
Okay.
The fact that their property values are the way they are in New York is largely because of Donald Trump creating what he did downtown for most of those buildings.
It's a great story.
And helping it. There's
a great story about Trump Tower, right? And I heard it on the radio. I think it was Glenn Beck who was talking about it. And he said that because in New York, if you own that plot of land, you not only own the plot of land, but you own all the airspace above it. Right? So he wanted to come in and he wanted to build a 5-star hotel. By the way, I looked up a stay. I told my wife, I said, you know what? Just to stick it to the man, just to stick it to him, let's go to New York for the weekend and stay in Trump Tower. How awesome would that be?
Right.
It's $1,100 a night.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm blowing $5,000. I'm going to fly to New York. My wife and I are going to be at the weekend. I'm going to hopefully find more protesters, and we're going to stay in Trump Tower. And when I walk out of Trump Tower to get into my limousine, I'm going to flip them the bird.
Don't you
I'm
have
sorry.
To
it's just the way it's going to be.
Doesn't it have to be approved by Secret Service now?
Who?
If you go to Trump Tower.
No, you can book a room online.
Seriously? I thought they had to do some kind of approval.
Oh, no. I'm sure they separate the president from the people hanging out in the hotel.
Right.
It's not like you walk into Trump Tower, go to the service desk and sign hey, how you doing? Here's your room key. By the way, high five the president on your way up the stairs. I'm sure that's not how it works. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the statue issue. Okay. Like I said, we are on a very slippery, undefined slope. And there's one statue. Because remember, Antifa doesn't stand for anti-fascist. It stands for anti-free America. And when they get to the Statue of Liberty,
really,
we're going to have a major problem. We're going to talk about statues. It's Earl and George. Hit like on Facebook and tell your friends and tell your neighbors. Share it, baby. We'll be right back.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? Amid the chaos? Or is the best time perhaps today? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I do believe we're going to have to find another way to do that. I believe you were right when you said that radio logic is better.
I told you. Welcome back to Earl and George. Coming up later in the show, our douche of the week. And man, I'll tell you, man, there are so many. I can't even. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Okay, so somebody has now attacked the cops in Boston. The Boston police, they got him. They got that one. Now they got to reset their lines. Literally on Fox News, the battle lines are being drawn. America, we are already in a civil war. And it's not black versus white. It is people using their constitutionally protected First Amendment rights of free speech to destroy other people's constitutionally protected rights of free speech.
But you don't have the right to speak hate. That's wrong because it offends me.
Like I said, show me in the Bill of Rights where you have the right not to be offended. It doesn't exist.
Right.
And if I offend you, tough cookies, cupcake.
And even with all this statue stuff, history's not kind. I mean, history's brutal. History's violent.
History's real.
Yeah. There's
There
no
you go.
reason for people to be offended by it. Just, I mean, dear Lord.
The next thing people are going to get offended at is that the lions eating meat at the zoo.
Oh, they already do that. They already say the zoos should be closed and we shouldn't be helping animals survive because it would be up to them if they're going to survive or not. That humans just need to stay out of the animal kingdom.
In statute.
Wait a minute.
That's a whole other thing, though.
Whoa. Oh, okay. I'm just saying,
I have.
Extinct. Yeah. But.
My daughter shared something with me about the dachshund run. Have you seen these?
No.
Where they do these little dachshund runs?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard about it. I hadn't seen it.
So locally here, they're going to have one. And I have a dachshund Chihuahua mix. We call her a Chiwiener. She's a Chiwiener dog. We call her Little Piggy. Her name is Lily, and she's the most precious dog there is. I love this dog.
Did you just say Little Piggy?
She is a totally little pig. She is a little piggy.
A Chihuahua dachshund mix.
That's amazing, dude. It's the best dog ever. She's got the dachshund head, right? But she's bigger than a normal dachshund. She's like this little fat turkey roll. I mean, she's awesome, dude. So my daughter's like, Dad, can we get Lily to run in this thing? I was like, if you can get Lily to run, good luck with that.
I mean, you could
Totally
get on a heel and just kind of let her
totally.
roll down the hill.
Right. As long as it's downhill, she'll be fine. Right? I feed the dogs. I put them outside. I feed the dogs. I open the door. The other two are like, food. And they come tearing to the house. And Lily's like, I'll be there in a minute. And she comes waddling up. I love her, man. Okay. So, let's see. As a result of the, and probably, I think it was the next day after the Charlottesville attack, sheriff's deputies, they arrested in Durham, North Carolina. Protesters gathered in Durham on, it was Monday, to support victims. Okay, I love this. This drives me crazy. Your eyes are going to bleed. Gathered in Durham to support victims of the weekend's deadly white nationalist rally and shit. It was, okay, first of all, it was not a white nationalist rally. They were there to protest the removal of a statue of Robert E. Lee. By the way, they had a permit, which was, by the way, revoked by, I think it was the governor.
Yeah.
And they took it to court, and the court sided with the help of the ACLU.
Really?
That their permit should be granted, and it was by the court. They were there legally, regardless of the 25, there were 300 people or whatever. 25 of them were neo-Nazis.
Right.
The rest of them weren't. But the media will tell you thousands of neo-Nazis descend on Charlottesville. Look, this was not a white nationalist rally. I'm not defending Nazism. It is evil. But they have the right to speak their evil.
Indeed.
That's what a conservative says. The liberal says, you don't have the right to say what you believe. Why? Because I said you don't.
But I can say what I believe.
Right. So let's see. Blah, 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 which have been called in opposition to the removal of statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Before they went through, the Durham demonstrators ripped down a statue, which stood since 1924 and was protected by a special state law while law enforcement stood by and watched.
Dude, really? And it was protected?
On Tuesday.
Oh, my God.
The clearly irate sheriff, Michael D. Andrews of Durham County, responded to apparent criticism that his officers had not done enough, announced that he would use, quote, every legal option available to us, end quote, to find and arrest those who had torn down the statue, including videos of the protest, blah, 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 blah. Let me be clear, he said in a news conference. No one is getting away with what happened. Hours later, deputies were raiding the houses of people suspected of being involved. We have him on video. There's no suspected of being involved. We have you on video strapping a yellow strap around the neck of the statue, giving a thumbs up to the crowd, and ripping it down. There's no accused, suspected.
That's a legal term.
Whatever, man. Okay, so they arrested Okay. Takia Thompson, a student at the University of North Carolina Central University, a historically black institution in Durham. She's also a member of the Workers' World Party. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to go ahead and Google the Workers' World Party.
For real, that's a new one.
Okay? Just go ahead. Go ahead. She climbed the statue on Monday, put a strap around it, used it to pull it down, was arrested by two uniformed sheriff's officers. Quote, I chose to do that because I'm tired of living in fear, she said. I'm tired of white supremacy keeping its foot on my neck and the neck of people who look like me, Miss Thompson, who is black, told reporters shortly before her arrest. Quote, I was inspired by a history of black activists and history of black organizing, end quote. I'm sorry, which black violent activists were you inspired by? Was it Martin Luther King, who was peaceful, who had a message of unity and equality?
I might could enlighten you on that. That would probably
Was it the Black Panthers?
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
I disagree with that. Malcolm X was not a violent man.
He wasn't violent.
There was a few bits, and if I'm not mistaken.
Or was it the Nation of Islam?
There you go.
Historic black activists. Like that lunatic.
Malcolm X, just to clear it up for listeners, Malcolm X famously said, do not be violent. Obey every law. But if a man puts his hands on you, send him to the cemetery.
Well, wasn't he... Now correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he like a blood or something?
No.
No.
Somebody said that.
No, I don't even think they existed back in the
30s.
30s.
I'm trying to get down. I'm trying to get to the part that I was... did you look up the Workers' World Party?
Yeah, I did.
Earl, can you tell me what that is, please?
I can't believe this is how they're operating now, but the Workers' World Party, also referred to as the WWP, is a communist party in the United States, founded in 1959 by a group led by Sam Marcy of the Socialist Workers Party.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. By the way, there is a GoFundMe that Takia has put up and the communists have put up to support her legal defense fund because she was like $10,000 bail. The guy who ran his car into the group of Antifa and Black Lives Matter protesters and killed the woman also had a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter, whatever it was. All of those were immediately turned down. They were taken down.
Wow.
The communist one is still there.
Of course.
You can go and hang out with and donate to this lunatic Thompson's legal defense fund.
Because she's a true patriot.
Well, yeah. It was, she was entitled to do that. All those people, they were spitting on it and kicking it and, it's violent destruction of state property, which was protected by law. She's two counts, inciting a riot and destruction of state property. And I hope she gets convicted. There's no way she can't.
Right. Oh, no. I'm quite sure that the NAACP or somebody will come and argue some kind of
it was her free speech. Yeah, of course it was. She was just exercising her free speech.
By the way, she did have the right to do that, to destroy all that. She also has, the punishment and the repercussions that come after.
That comes back to a conversation I had with a local clergyman who said, you can't yell fire in a movie theater. And I said, yeah, you can. Absolutely. You have absolutely every right to stand up and yell fire in a movie theater. You also have every right to pay the penalty for screaming fire in a movie theater.
When somebody dies from getting trampled.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. Liberal Seattle mayor says Lenin statue must go.
Well, yeah, I don't think it'll happen, though.
Let's see. A small group of protesters, several wearing, this is when they're wearing MAGA caps, Make America Great Again, these evil right-wingers, man, marched around the statue of Vladimir Lenin in Seattle on Wednesday, demanding its removal. Quote, this is from the mayor, quote, I've had a position on that for years because Fremont sits on my old legislative district, Murray told this is Democratic Mayor Ed Murray. Quote, that monument represents to many people in the city their families having been murdered, the destruction of tens of millions of people. Oh, I'm sorry. So every mayor since its inception had no problem with the Lenin statue until a small group of Make America Great Trump supporters walked around it and said we need to remove it. Now all of a sudden the mayor's like, yeah, you know what? It probably
time for it
to come down. Oh my God, really? Protesters led by pro-Trump figure Jack Posobiec Did I just dox him? No, I didn't. We're looking to shine a light on Lenin's murderous history. In addition, the protesters also called out the alleged hypocrisy of those who want Confederate statues down, but are apparently fine with the statue of Lenin. Yeah. It's like
but the way that it got there, did you read in the article of how it got there?
Hang on. I never pre-read the statues. I never do.
An American military veteran and teacher spotted it and brought it over.
While the Lenin statue is more private. While the Lenin statue and the Confederate memorial are on private land and privately owned.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna. You know what they're gonna do to them? They're gonna eminent domain that.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to because it's private.
And then we're gonna have to see what school they build because they're only supposed to be able to do that for schools or public buildings. They'll have to build something.
Quote, we can't tell the private property owner what to do, but we can say we think it isn't a good message for the city. An American military veteran and teacher spotted the statue in Eastern European scrapyard in 1989 and mortgaged his house to bring the sculpture to Issaquah. The teacher recognized the statue as a piece of art, regardless of its subject matter. The statue is now owned by the teacher's family, and it sits at the temporary viewing site in Fremont while it's for sale for $250,000.
Right.
God, I wish I had $250,000. I'd melt that down and make bullets out of it. Seriously,
Right.
man. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So when the Civil War comes, when they come to my house, I could shoot them with Lenin bullets.
And shout victory.
Yeah, right. Okay. We've got about 10 minutes. Let's just keep going. Duke University removes statue of Robert E. Lee following vandalism. Staff at Duke University on Saturday. Today, by the way. The story is from today.
Yeah, that's why I don't know about it.
Removed a vandalized statue of Robert E. Lee from the campus. Where's Duke University? Anybody want to tell me where Duke is? By the way, it's North Carolina.
Is it really?
Yeah. Duke,
I knew that.
Duke University President Vincent Price. Really?
Oh, wow. I like
That's
that name.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Vincent Price said he consulted with staff, faculty, alumni, and the Board of Trustees before. Okay, quote, I take this course of action to protect Duke Chapel, to ensure the vital safety of students and see how they're all kowtowing now?
Yeah.
They're all kowtowing to this. Hey, Mr. Producer, play cut 3 for me.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Quote, take this course of action at Duke Chapel, ensure the vital safety of students and community members who worship there, and above all, to express the deep and abiding values of our university.
Wow.
But see, now I would like to mention going back to Malcolm X, because didn't he, promoted the black, the whole supremacy and just kind of was for separation. So wouldn't that add on to something like this that would cause for the lack of diversity?
I'm not a Malcolm X aficionado.
Just saying.
I can't really answer that question.
Well, I've studied the man quite frequently, just because when it's a whole nother issue to get into, which I'll happily tell you about after the show.
I'm still not done with the statue stories.
But
I'm still not done with the statue stories.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's 1 and 2. I mean, the answer's not 1, it's not 2, but it does not exceed 3. It's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. I'll
Which,
start.
by the way, side note about the whole statue thing, they are actually trying. There's a petition online now that's getting sent to the president's desk to remove the Jefferson Memorial. Which really angers me, because he's like one of my top presidents. Never mind the fact he wrote the greatest breakup letter of all time.
Yeah.
Never mind that.
Yeah.
But because he was a slave owner, they want to get rid of his monument. And President Trump actually addressed it by saying, that this is what makes us a great nation, is the monuments that we put up, so that we remember where we were and where we're going. But
unless they're taken down in the middle of the night.
Right.
Baltimore. It was, quote, in the best interest of the city, end quote, Mayor Catherine Pugh said Wednesday as she explained why she ordered Confederate monuments removed under the cover of darkness. With no immediate public notice, no fundraising, and no plan for a permanent location for the monuments once they have been excised, all things city officials once believed they would need, the mayor watched in the wee hours of Wednesday as contractors with cranes, protected by a contingent of police officers, lifted the monuments from their pedestals and rolled them onto the back of flatbed trucks. They're being housed in a thing. By the way, a statue has been replaced. That General Lee statue that was removed in Baltimore in the middle of the night by the thieves of the city, with no public comment and no public outcry. Well, there's probably no public comment. At no city council meeting, none was this voted. None of it was voted. She decided to do this at herself. By the way, a statue has replaced that already. You know what it is?
No.
It's a statue of a pregnant black woman with her fist in the air.
Oh, wow.
Totally unauthorized. And by the way, the city hasn't come to remove that one.
Why not?
Well, why do you think?
Well, I got a few things that I could say why.
Quote, the mayor has the right to protect her city, end quote, she said. Quote, for me, the statues represented pain. For me, the statues represented pain. And not only did I want to protect my city from any more of that pain. You mean like a war? Like civil war? That pain? Or your perceived black pain?
Right.
Quote, I also wanted to protect my city from any of the violence that was occurring around the nation. We don't need that in Baltimore. So under the cover of night, like a thief in the darkness, with no vote whatsoever, you take it upon yourself to remove something that you deemed a problem.
Well, because she's buying into the lie that the people that want the statue to be there are going to be the violent ones.
Gainesville, Florida, Lexington, Kentucky, all called for their Confederate monuments to come down on the heels of the weekend's violence.
Don't forget, here locally,
Mayor Bell.
Yep.
In Lynn Park. We live in Birmingham, by the way. He boarded it up with plywood, then painted the entire cube black.
But first he tried to put a giant tarp over it, and it's like 108
feet
high.
It's like an obelisk. Yeah.
And it doesn't even mention any Confederate soldiers by name.
Nope.
It's dedicated to their memory.
What's next? See, this is the undefined slope. This is what I keep saying.
So I get you. I don't want to make kind of a point. It's like, because you just said that they were to remember the deaths. I mean, if you died, shouldn't you be sad for the person in general? For the most part, they're still human, and
who's that? Who died? You talking about
the Confederate soldiers? That's what the
you mean those American soldiers?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That sums it up perfectly.
So let me give you the undefined slope, and everybody's like, "What is he talking about?" Oh, well, maybe this will help you. The statue of San Junipero Serra in Mission Hills, California, was vandalized this week after a string of high-profile memorial removals and defacing across the country. Most of these monuments had or were believed to have some significance with the Confederacy. San Junipero Serra has no discernible relation to the American South. He is a Catholic saint revered by Spanish-speaking Californians for establishing over 20 missions across the area that is now the Golden State. He was active prior to the American Revolution. CBS Los Angeles reports that some believe the saint's evangelization destroyed part of the California Native American culture. The statue was painted with the word murder from head to toe.
Dude.
Nice, huh?
People aren't even investigating before they go attack statues now.
Yep.
Freaking idiots.
96 monuments to former KKK leader and Democrat Senator Robert Byrd in West Virginia have yet to be decried by anybody wanting to take down Confederate statues.
Yeah, that's what I was arguing, because there's a few buildings that bear his name, too. So
New York City.
Get a rope.
New York. As though they don't have enough. Play cut 9 for me. This is my friends in New York. Yes, you do. By the way, they speak for everyone in New York. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, I just want to let you know, New York hates you.
Right.
All right. In New York, the subway. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Tiles that are not even low enough to be in the eyesight of the average New York City subway traveler are being chiseled off because they are reminiscent of the controversial Confederate flag. The tiles are red with a blue cross, a blue X running through them. The pattern was created 90 years ago in remembrance of New York Times head Adolf Osh, I think that's how you say his name, He was a Southerner and was reportedly buried with a Confederate flag. Metropolitan Transportation Authority spokesman Kevin Orts insisted the pattern represents Times Square's nickname, the crossroads of the world.
Dude, I don't. People are losing their minds. And did you actually see a picture of it, of how hard it is to see it from ground level?
When we come back, we're going to get into more of the president's comments while people outside were screaming New York hates you and other things, and we'll play that for you in just a little bit. Next hour, also the douche of the week, and Iceland has almost eradicated Down syndrome. We'll tell you how, and we'll tell you how to eradicate racism next hour on Earl and George. We'll be right back in 1 minute.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Mama always said God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. You're listening to Earl and George.
You know what? The truth does hurt. Okay, all right. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Earl and George. Oh, look, the hippies are dancing in Boston. Yeah. Yeah. We're
protesting free speech.
Yes, they're protesting free speech. How are they protesting free speech? By practicing their own free speech. I love it. I keep saying it. People are using the civil liberties protected by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to destroy the liberties protected by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So play for me. And by the way, go ahead and play. It's kind of the same thing. Go ahead and play cut 5.
What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
Yes. No. I wanted to answer that one. Sorry.
What about the fact they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do.
Yes. Yes, they do. Yes.
But they don't
exist.
exist.
It was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
Get them.
I'm not finished, fake news. Yes.
I will tell you something. I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group. You had a group.
Go ahead
on
and
the
stop
other
the president.
Side.
He's right.
Completely.
He's absolutely right. Now play cut 4.
Go ahead.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
Stop. Listen to the way she asked that question. She was up-speaking. She was literally up-speaking. And at the same time, like, do you think that the neo-Nazis and what you call the alt-left, and at the same time talking down to the President of the United States? Play it again.
Go ahead.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
Yes.
Those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee.
Play cut 10 right now. This is what was going on outside. Can I? You know what? You're here. you're queer, you're fabulous. I am absolutely not going to have sex with you. I promise you right now.
Never going to happen.
You're here, you're queer, you're fabulous. Don't worry, there's no sex going on. It's perfectly fine. That's what was going on, along with Cut 9, while the president was trying to talk about infrastructure, then was peppered with, why do you support the Nazis? And are you saying that the so-called alt-left is same as the alt-right and blah, 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 blah. I don't play this alt game, all right? Antifa does not stand for anti-fascism. It stands for anti-free America, period. Remember what I said last week. The first rule of the fanatic is when you become obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy.
Right.
That's why Antifa and their black hoods and their ninja masks are the enemy. By the way, the neo-Nazis and their Hitler salutes are the freaking enemy too.
Yep.
Okay? It's not difficult, America. Now, he was there to talk about infrastructure. So, play cut 1.
What makes you think you can get an infrastructure bill?
Stop.
You didn't get help.
Listen to the way they talk to this president.
The condescending tone.
Listen to that. What makes you think you can get Go ahead.
What makes you think you can get an infrastructure bill? You didn't get health care.
Well, I'll tell you.
Gosh.
We're very close with health care. Unfortunately, John McCain decided to vote against it at the last minute. You'll have to ask John McCain why he did that. But we came very close to health care. We will end up getting health care, but we'll get the infrastructure. And actually, infrastructure is something that I think we'll have bipartisan support on. I actually think Democrats will go along with the infrastructure.
Oh, they will? Play cut 9. Oh, yeah, definitely going to go on the infrastructure. All right, stop that. Play cut 6. Play cut 6.
CEO of Walmart said you missed a critical opportunity to help bring the country together. Did you?
Not at all. I think the country, look, you take a look. I've created over 1 million jobs since I'm president. The country is booming. The stock market is setting records. We have the highest employment numbers we've ever had in the history of our country. We're doing record business. We have the highest levels of enthusiasm. So the head of Walmart, who I know, who's a very nice guy, was making a political statement.
And none of that made the news. Nobody cared. All they cared about was, is the alt-left the same as the alt-right? Sorry, Russian, was there a Russian stuff? I can't remember everything, this North Korean nuke thing, China hanging them out to dry. None of that mattered. All that the president, according to everybody else, the president didn't do enough. Really? I'm sorry. And now the memes are starting like, oh, well, the president's, he didn't condemn the white nationalists by name. He must be a white nationalist. Yes, using that logic, President Obama is an Islamic terrorist. Thank you very much, America. Well done. Well done. God,
that's a
man.
good point.
It's crazy, dude. Okay. It's just unbelievable. Okay. And then another big story happened last week. The CEOs walking out of the Economic Council. Play cut 8. Eventually.
Why do you think these CEOs are leaving your manufacturing council?
Because they're not taking their job seriously as it pertains to this country. We want jobs, manufacturing in this country. If you look at some of those people that you're talking about, they're outside of the country. They're having a lot of their product made outside. If you look at Merck as an example, take a look where, take a look at where their product is made. It's made outside of our country. We want products made in the country. Now, I have to tell you, some of the folks that will leave, they're leaving out of embarrassment because they make their products outside. And I've been lecturing them, including the gentleman that you're referring to, about you have to bring it back to this country. You can't do it necessarily in Ireland and all of these other places. You have to bring this work back to this country. That's what I want. I want manufacturing to be back in.
Which, by the way, they say is racist, bringing work back.
Absolutely. Tim Cook.
Yeah.
The CEO of Apple, right? I can't work with this president because he hates gay people and brown people and blah. Okay. And literally billions of jobs you create in China. Thanks, Tim. Right. Well done. Well done. Yeah, you're a true American, aren't you? Because you can get your phones made, which I love Apple products. Everything I own is Apple. by somebody at Foxconn where they have suicide nets out the window. Well done, Tim.
Never mind the fact it's a communist country.
God, man. It's crazy. They just condescend. If anybody spoke to President Obama like that, man, they'd have been just drawn and quartered. Remember the guy when I think President was doing the State of the Union and everybody had copies of the Obamacare bill before it passed. And the guy's like, President Obama was like, let me be clear. We are not going to give health care to illegal immigrants. And the guy was like, liar.
Right.
Does anybody want to go back and see if that guy was right? Does anybody care whether that guy was absolutely right? Yeah. Remember, just want to be clear, you're going to be able to keep your doctor if you like your doctor, and the average American family will save $2,500 a year. $2,500. Liar! Does anybody want to go back and see if that was true?
Right.
All right, moving on. Okay, so the actress who held up President Trump's severed head,
Kathy Griffin,
totally got fired from her gig, and she's like, everybody hates me now.
Which, by the way, was protected by free speech.
Absolutely. Missouri, and she paid the price.
Yep.
She yelled fire in the movie. Here's another one. Missouri Republican Governor Eric Greeton says that the state Senate should remove Democrat Senator Maria Chappelle Nadell if she refuses to resign for writing on a now-deleted Facebook post that she hopes President Donald Trump gets, quote, assassinated.
And then she told the media they twisted her words.
Yeah. Senator Chappelle said she hopes the president is killed. Republicans and Democrats have called on her to resign. This is the governor. Her response is, hell no. That's a quote. I can say that on the radio. Last night in an interview, she refused to apologize twice. If she will not resign, the Senate can vote to remove her. I believe they should, the governor said. Let's see. I'm trying to find her quotes. She said, in a TV interview, she said, I put up on my personal Facebook, and I should not have, that I hope Trump is assassinated. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
You're forgiven.
Yeah, you know what? It was an honest mistake.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah. I didn't mean what I put up. Absolutely not. I was very frustrated.
Did
you? Yeah. Ignorance of the law is no excuse from what I understand.
Yeah.
I just unless you are the American Bar Association.
Dude.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Haven't we been, that's been drilled into us for ages and ages and ages, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what they commonly tell people that are arrested for DUI. They always argue, I thought the legal limit was this.
Yep, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
Right? Man, I thought this was a no helmet thing for my motorcycle. I passed the state line. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Unless you're the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association House of Delegates passed a resolution Monday recommending that illegal immigrants who wish to take the bar exam and practice law should not be dismissed because of their immigration status. Now, can I just point something? I'm not a lawyer. Okay, I do not have a law degree.
Legal disclaimer.
I did not. This is a legal disclaimer. George ain't no lawyer. Right? Hey, can you pull up the doggone right. Okay, ready? Here we go. This is an official disclaimer. George from the Earl and George show ain't no lawyer.
Doggone right.
I have never been to law school.
Doggone right.
I have no idea how to practice law.
Doggone right.
By the way, illegal immigrants have no immigration status.
Doggone right.
Okay? There is no immigration status called illegal immigrant. It does not exist. George is not a lawyer.
Doggone right.
But these lawyers for the American Bar Association are claiming that illegal immigrants should be able to take the bar, should be able to practice law within the country, within the boundaries of the United States or the state that they take the bar in, and should not be dismissed because of their, quote, immigration status. I say again, there is no immigration status called illegal.
Doggone right.
Okay? Quote, resolved. that the American Bar Association supports the principle that bar administration should not be denied based solely on immigration status, end quote. How can a lawyer say that there's a status that doesn't exist? You're a freaking lawyer.
The whole thing is an asinine argument.
It's like I can't.
And law is black and white. It's black and white.
What's your what's your immigration status? Well, I mean, I have a green card. I'm on a visa. I'm a student. I have a family member here. It's pending. I'm going through the process. Those are all legal immigration stati.
Right.
But not illegal. Hey, what's your immigration status? I'm illegal.
Here's your state bar exam.
Yeah. And by the way, can I just say, if you are here illegally and you walk up and think that you have an immigration status, not only are you not supposed to be here, but you're an idiot.
Right.
Where are all the people claiming that status? Where are they? They should be proud. They're like, I've got a status now. What is it? Illegal. Well, the lawyers said so.
They were all very popular during Obama's administration, but they've all kind of gone into hiding.
We have created this status. They have no status. They have no standing. They're here illegally in violation of U.S. law.
Right.
Are we a sovereign nation or not?
Yep.
We have now created a class of criminal that's okay. Again, George from the Earl and George show ain't no lawyer.
Doggone right.
Okay? I continue.
Don't it make you sick?
That's a quote from the resolution. According to the ABA's news release, the resolution passed with modest opposition, only by the people that have half a brain. And it didn't stop there. The delegates took it a step further, urging Congress to amend Federal Code 8, U.S. Code Statute 1621, that addresses the state's, quote, authority to provide for eligibility of illegal aliens for state and local public benefits, end quote. Why? Why do we even have a statute that says eligibility of illegal aliens for state and local public benefits? There should be no statute 1621. And in fact, I'll urge Congress to do the exact same thing. Amend Federal Code 8, U.S. Code, Statute 1621D. Get rid of it.
Yeah, delete it.
Amend it out.
I think it's part of the DREAM Act.
And specifies that undocumented residents may not obtain professional licenses issued by state governments. Thank you, state governments. Thank you. You have lawyers. I'm speechless. Quote, a state court vested with exclusive authority to regulate admission to the bar may, by rule, order, or other affirmative act, permit an undocumented alien seeking legal status to obtain a professional license to practice law in that jurisdiction. Okay, you go to court. You've got one of these illegal alien lawyers. How is that going to play out?
Right. And how, the insurance then, like if he loses, how are you going to be able to go after him because he's illegal and could always run away?
Exactly.
If
he
you don't
has
get a fair
no
trial.
status. They have no status. There is no status named illegal. And you go to and by the way, no illegal is ever going to try to get their bar exam. Not one of them will try to do it. Why? Because the second they show up at the courthouse, they're immediately detained. Why? Because they've broken the laws of the United States of America and walked into a courthouse and said, yeah, I'm an illegal resident, but I'm a lawyer, so it's okay.
I disagree. I believe there will be a lot of people that try to do it because there were a ton of people that went to college on the illegal status.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the douche of the week. We will then dive into Iceland. I still have microaggression stories and another statue story.
It was a busy week.
Coming up next, the douche of the week. Hey, by the way, did you jump on Spreaker?
No.
Okay. I guess I'll figure out how to do it over here. The douche of the week coming up next, and then Iceland has eradicated Down syndrome. Way to go, Iceland? ? It's Earl and George. Spam the like button. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You might miss something important.
Ranger Station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, and of course, companionship. Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
Fantastic cat. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hey, you, over yonder. You're listening to Earl and George.
Dang right.
Doggone right.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a lot. Man. It's when we came up with the idea to do the douche of the week, we didn't think it would be this difficult. We thought, okay, somebody's going to stand out. We had no idea that so many people would have standout douchey moments during the week. I mean, seriously. We have, like last week, I think you had 14 candidates for douche of the week. So here are my nominations for douche of the week. They're pretty obvious. Okay. Mayor Catherine Pugh of Baltimore for taking down Confederate statues like a thief in the night. Well done. Way to have an open and transparent local government. Well done, Mayor. Takesha Thompson for the destruction of for 2 felonies, inciting a riot and destruction of public property, and, by the way, being defended by the communists in the United States of America.
Right.
Well done, Takesha. Steve Bannon, because he is just a Jack Mongolian wild jackass and has no place in the White House, and I'm glad he's gone, by the way. And we'll talk about him in a minute. He's on his way. And my final candidate for douche of the week is the entire list of delegates for the American Bar Association. Why? For being stupid.
And allowing illegals to...
Passing a resolution that allows illegal immigrants to take the bar and practice law. Somehow. And by the way, how do you morally equate that? You pass the bar, and your job is to be counsel and be a lawyer and focus on the laws of the United States while have broken the law. I don't understand.
Yeah, here's their oath. It is the duty of an attorney to do all of the following: to support the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state, to maintain the respect due to courts of justice and judicial officers.
The American Bar Association says that?
Yeah, that's the attorney's oath. That's the oath of the
Unless you're an illegal immigrant, then none of that applies to you. All right, those are my nominees for douche of the week.
Yeah, and that,
and by the way, probably, we have a token douche, but I kind of want to throw the guy who drove the car into the group of protesters. He's a douche.
Right. But I was all set on the one that I was going to get from your list, and now talking more and more about the bar associations making me kind of lean more towards them. But my 2 nominations, I only have 2 this week, was Terry, I don't know how you say his last name properly, McAuliffe?
Terry McAuliffe,
yeah,
governor of the state of Virginia,
right, for giving the stand-down order to state police.
Democrat Terry McAuliffe
during the whole, and he's actually been a person that's been slamming President Trump since his election too. He said quite a few
that's
things.
not. There's nothing wrong with that,
right? But
that's not douchey. That's expected.
And then the other one, of course, is the mayor of Birmingham, William Bell, for erecting this god awful.
The giant black box.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I'm offended by the giant black box.
And then trying to claim that Birmingham has no attachment to the Civil War because Birmingham was founded after the Civil War. It's just that statement is true, but it's also asinine.
Can he say that on the radio? He just did. It doesn't matter.
It's not a cuss word, though.
It could offend somebody.
Well, this is true.
Could offend somebody. Mr. Producer, do we have a douche of the week nominee?
It's always Kanye West.
Kanye West.
Come on.
I'll get another one. We could just say a bunch of names, but he fits the role so perfectly.
And our token douche, Kanye West.
Right.
So what do you think? This is this is one of those ones
I'm
it's
tossed.
It's toss up
because again, what the bar association did is just it's stupid beyond all measure, which is technically the definition of douchey. That's a douchey move. So I'm going to lean to the Bar Association. That's who I'm going to have to cast my vote
Mr.
for.
Producer? Kanye West.
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna. For some reason, I'm just getting the Kanye vibe today. So
You're getting the Kanye
vibe.
I'm going to have to go with the American Bar Association. Congratulations for the American Bar Association for our douche of the week. Now,
we're going to send you a copy of the Constitution.
And along with your copy of the Constitution and your trophy for being the douche of the week, we are going to resubmit your federal student loan documents so you can go back to law school. Congratulations. Well done. And incur another $1.2 million in debt. American Bar, the delegates of the American Bar Association.
Which there's 602.
The douches of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of 602 delegates, moderate. They had modest opposition to this.
I looked up to see if they would say who didn't vote for it, and they won't even put that on the actual official statement.
No, because they'll get death threats and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Okay. Now, moving on. A story came out, and I posted this on our Facebook page at Earl and George. Please go like that, share it with all of your friends. And also, there are two other attached Facebook pages. You have EG Official Earl and EG Official George. So as we post, we will post as Earl and George, but we will comment as EG Official Earl and EG Official George. So, but go and like those. You don't have to like our personal ones, like the George and Earl page. You don't care about that.
Right.
Definitely go like the George and Earl, or Earl and George. That's the name of the show. Merchandise is coming. Don't worry.
It's up. It's up. I just don't have pricing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the story came out about Iceland, and it says the headline was it was a CBS and on assignment story. And they said since screening tests were introduced in the country in the early 2000s, almost 100% of women who received a prenatal Down syndrome diagnosis aborted their baby. According to CBS, abortion is legal in Iceland after 16 weeks, quote, if the fetus has a deformity, end quote. Now, by saying that, they have defined Down syndrome, which is a chromosomal genetic defect, if you will, as a deformity. Like a third arm growing out of your forehead equates to Down syndrome.
And this
but
was
that's
Iceland?
Iceland. But that's not the headline. The headline was Iceland eradicates Down syndrome.
Like it's a disease.
Yeah. Like they've done something good. But equating... okay, I'll get to that in a minute. While Iceland's Down syndrome termination rate is high, other countries aren't far behind. According to the CBS News, in France, 77% of women who receive... By the way, these screenings are only 85% accurate. Yeah. France, 77% of women who receive that diagnosis terminate their pregnancies. In 2015, 98% did in Denmark and 67% in the United States.
That's a lot higher than I expected.
CBS noted that the screening is only 85% accurate. This is a tough one, guys. This is a really tough one, and I have a very personal story about this, and I am staunchly anti-abortion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm Catholic, so you know I am.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's Catholic, and that doesn't mean jack to her.
Well, she's not a true Catholic in my eyes.
I'm just going to skip the rest of the story. I need to go on and tell you this. When my wife was pregnant with our middle daughter, she went and she had a prenatal screening done. Okay. And the diagnosis did not come back as Down syndrome. But the doctor said that the baby was having, and yes, it is a baby. It's not a bundle of tissues. Okay.
It's not a fetus.
If you call it it is a fetus.
It's scientifically, but refer to it as a baby. It's a person.
I'm okay with fetus because fetus means baby. To me, it's the same thing, but that's to me. It's not a Buick. Okay, my wife wasn't having a giraffe.
Right.
All right. They said the baby would never be carried to term and that we should abort it. That's what the doctors recommended. I remember that day. I will never forget the day that the doctor walked into my wife's room after the screening and told her to kill the baby that was growing inside of her.
Traumatic.
We recommend you kill your own child because we don't think it will live to be born.
And your middle daughter is pretty cool.
Yeah, in fact, this week she moves into college on the largest sports scholarship the school that she's going to has ever given
There
a
you
human
go.
being.
God bless your wife, too.
They've been around since 1848. God bless my wife.
For going through that and having the strength to still.
And we talked about it, and I was like, Mandy, what do you want to do? She said, I'm going to trust in God, and I'm going to let nature take its course.
There you go.
And had our daughter died, then that would have been the will of God, not the will of the doctor.
Right. Or their tests.
It would have been the natural course of action in a human pregnancy in our case. That's not what happened. My daughter was born, and she will kick your butt at Taekwondo.
Thank God.
She is, I can't even be. So saying that by killing almost 100% of the babies that they think have Down syndrome.
The key word.
They think have Down syndrome. 15% of the time, they're wrong.
Right. And those babies were still aborted.
And then to claim that we've eradicated Down syndrome, let me give you a moral equivalent statement. If we abort nearly 100% of all black babies, we will eradicate racism. There's no difference in the statement. None. Now, let me give you another one. If we abort 100% of white babies, we will eradicate racism. Way to go, guys. There's no difference in the statement. You don't cure a disease by killing everyone with the disease. You want to eradicate cancer? Just kill everybody with cancer. That's the mindset. And it is evil.
Yep.
It is sick. And it is twisted. And they're lauding it. Look at Iceland. They've almost
eradicated.
eradicated.
What's weird
What?
is what if one of those babies that were aborted would actually find the cure?
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Well, abortion's a huge issue, and this is one that people will say, well, you know, if the baby was born with Down syndrome, it wouldn't have a good quality of life, air quotes, so why would you want to do that to your child?
They've
That's their
determined
argument.
what that quality is.
Right.
The quality of life of person A with Down syndrome and person B without it are two totally different things. Both of them are quality. Why? Because they have life.
I know several people with autism, with
Down syndrome.
Down syndrome. Thank you. Sorry, my brain just left. And they're awesome.
You should have been aborted.
Right.
We would have cured mistakes of the brain.
They're awesome people.
And actually, you know, that's actually brings up kind of the whole thing of Spartans, because they did that, but you know they
didn't abort them.
If they had deformities and stuff, you know,
they outcast
but yeah,
them.
but
I thought they dropped him off a cliff, according to the movie I saw.
Yes, yeah. But then the one guy was just, you know.
So people in Iceland are Greek? Is that what?
Maybe.
Dude, I can't even. Like,
The
it's
story is
so
sickening.
hard to talk about.
Yeah, it's a sickening
And
story.
CBS is like, hey, look at Iceland. They're so
championing
awesome.
it,
Look
yeah.
what they're doing. They've
Applauding
done the. Imagine. So you just aborted your baby because the doctor said there was an 85% chance that it's going to have Down syndrome. And by the way, you can tell by the face of the child whether it has Down syndrome. That's why they all look alike. It's a chromosomal defect.
Right. Through that wavy thing that they use, like you can tell.
No. I mean after the abortion.
Right. I know.
And the face is not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, too late. Sorry, man. You're one of the 15%. We were wrong. We just
Now
killed
your
your
baby's
we
dead.
just killed your baby for no reason whatsoever.
But see, I think, and this may be Catholic doctrine playing into the fact, but I think people that are already at that stage where if they're told their baby's going to have any kind of deformity and they abort it and then they find out that it didn't have the deformity, I don't think they'd care anyway.
Yeah, because they've already made the decision that that bundle of tissue isn't a baby.
Right.
Right? It's not a baby. It's just a bundle of tissue that, by the way, wasn't put together properly inside the mommy and and it's okay for them to just yank that out.
And I'd like to know too from this report how many of the people, what their ages were. Because as they get older, then they start to, a lot of people that are pro-abortion when they're young tend to change their minds as they get older.
You know, I vaguely remember, because I'm a student of history, another group of people, another country, that should there be anything wrong with you, they believed that you need to be removed from society because you're just a drain on society. That's what the people in Iceland believed, that these people in Down syndrome, with Down syndrome, they're just going to be a drain on society. Who was it? I can't remember. Who was it? It was, what was the name of the country? Mr. Producer, do you remember the group of people that basically said they eradicated, and they actually did. They put them in asylum. They actually made a movie about it. Look at these feeble-minded people in this asylum, and look at, we're doing such good for them by taking them out of society and giving them all of the, by the way, giving them death.
Right.
Who was that, Mr. Producer? Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was the frickin' Nazis.
Yeah. In Germany.
Hitler.
Anybody who was deformed, anybody who was different, anybody that they deemed feeble-minded. Oh, wait, feeble-minded. That reminds me of somebody else who used that term, feeble-mindedness. Does anybody want to, does anybody remember who that was that said that we need to remove from our society feeble-mindedness? Does anybody remember that? Earl, Mr. Producer?
Chinese?
No. It was President Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, take nothing we say on this radio show as fact. Go look it up for yourself. Woodrow Wilson wanted to eradicate feeble-mindedness.
Wasn't he actually working with the Germans with that whole...
eugenics?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Eugenics? You mean like Margaret Sanger, who invented Planned Parenthood? It wasn't because of women's rights, which is what they will tell you. Why did Margaret Sanger start the abortion movement with Planned Parenthood? Does anybody want to say why?
I know.
Go ahead, Earl.
To quote, I'm quoting her, to abolish the Negro population.
What was that?
To abolish the Negro population.
So any statue of Margaret Sanger is now an image of hate.
Yep. And it's racist. She was a racist person.
Wow.
That's why most of her abortion clinics are in the quote-unquote hood, and that, you know, the African Americans tend to be the highest.
Oh, yeah. Guys, don't abort your babies. Can I just say, can I make it really simple for you? Well, what about race and incest? Yeah, I'm talking about the 97 cases, the 97%.
But then the liberal reply is, well, who's going to take care of the baby? Are you going to take care of it?
Somebody out there will take care of the baby.
Right.
I don't know who that's going to be.
The system's already strained.
I guarantee you there's a great... Well, we make it strained.
Right. But I'm just saying what their argument is, because I've had this argument with several people.
Can we not make a adoption worse than getting a mortgage or a colonoscopy?
Right.
Can we just say, look, man, my name is George. I've already raised 3 daughters. My wife and I, we're under 50. Okay, I do okay. We make pretty good money. I'll take the baby. Well, it's black. Yeah, I'll take the baby. Well, the mother was a crack addict. Okay, I'll take the baby. Why? Because that baby is alive. It is a human being, and it is precious in the eyes of God and me.
Right.
I'll take the baby. If I was Mark Zuckerberg with a billion upon billion freaking, I wouldn't be
75 billion.
I would not be creating 3D glasses. I would have 10 million children. I would be the poorest billionaire there was. Because they have value. Those children have value. They're not a bundle of cells that you can, my body, my choice.
Right.
Really? Go to a doctor and tell them that you want to get rid of your arm. Why? Because I don't want to keep it for the next 9 frickin' months.
Yeah.
They're not gonna lop it off. They're gonna put you in an insane asylum.
Yeah. Body dysphoria. But see, that's like what Mr. Producer was saying. I mean, if they would just look at what's happening and stop aborting these people, these babies, those babies may be the ones that cure cancer. They may be the ones that send us to the moon. They may be the ones that find what the link is with Down syndrome.
We've already been to the moon.
Yeah. Well, send us back. I know. I meant send us back. We haven't gone back since we went.
That's because the aliens won't let us back.
Right.
We all know that.
The Martians.
No, it's not Martians. They're aliens. They. I mean, John Glenn said it. He told her, he said, yeah, there's the crab. We're not going to. But no, it's okay. It's fine. It's another story. Look, don't abort your babies, okay? Since abortion was legalized in the United States of America, just in our country, one of 195 other countries on the planet, we've aborted over 60 million human lives.
And we're also the only one of the developed world that doesn't require any kind of therapy before you do it.
It costs
really.
It costs upwards of $50,000 sometimes to adopt a child, but it costs what, $300 to kill one?
Yeah.
Something wrong with that picture.
I actually think it's like
no kidding.
I think it's like $108. It's really low now to abort a baby. It's really low. Because I was going to start a nonprofit.
What'd that lady say from Planned Parenthood? She said she was joking. I think she was on Hannity or she was on one of these shows, and she said that where they put the aborted fetal body parts, they referred to, as the nursery.
Yeah. I remember that.
These people are sick.
Yeah.
And that's why I say liberalism is a disease. You can't have. And they want their cake and eat it too. They want the moral high ground. They want this. They're the ones who determine what quote unquote quality of life is. They get to be the one to determine what hate speech is. They get to be the determining factor in what is vile in the town square and what's not. Where conservatives are like, yeah, man, if you want to put up a statue of Satanism, go ahead. It's your free it's your free speech. Go for it. And the liberals are like, take down the cross.
Right.
What the hell, man? Does anybody not see the truth?
Well, they see it as because they're the larger party in this country, so they're always right anyway. They get
microorganisms, microaggressions. Oh, I'm sorry. We have the obvious. This is according to the university. It's a New York City. It's the new school is what it's called. It's New York City. They came out with a guide of microaggressions. Anybody know what that is? It's a micro insult, micro assault, or of course the insidious micro invalidation. Now we've got a bunch of new words. Yeah, like you throw well for a girl.
No, you know what that brings up?
Who says that?
You know what that brings up? To be honest with you, I was talking about this with the same person earlier when I was mentioning. I was saying, is being nice going to become offensive? Like,
yes,
that's
you know what
sweetheart.
I mean?
Remember we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Honey, that dress makes you look really good. Like all my other clothes make me not look good. That's a microaggression, you evil white man. I hate you. I mean, what the hell, man? So, okay, you throw well for a girl. Okay, I've raised 3 daughters. Nobody on the softball team ever heard me go, y'all throw well for girls. Who says that? Who says that?
Well, I've always heard it or seen it done on like movies and stuff, but they're 90% of the time they're joking.
I have never in my life heard someone say, "You speak so white."
Right.
You write so white.
Like I was telling you earlier.
Who says that, Earl?
Yeah, it tends to happen a lot in the African American community.
Exactly.
They like to say things like, you have good hair, you have white girl hair, and stuff like that. So, they say it all the time.
Wow. But that doesn't stop there. Don't forget about those microaggressions, such as the seats on the plane are too small. The seats in the auditorium are too small.
They're trying to find us.
For your fat backside.
So they're saying it's microaggression towards fat people.
Yes.
For having small seats.
Because the seats were made
for skinny
for
people.
the average American butt.
Back in like the 60s.
You have grown the above average American butt.
Right.
I fly constantly. By the way, I made diamond. As soon as I landed, I made diamond. This year alone, I have flown 172,000 miles.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'm well on my way to million miler. And when you sit next to somebody in the, non-first class seats and they have to ask the flight attendant for the lap belt extension, you're like, oh, God. Microaggression. These seats need to be wider to accompany your girth. In addition,
they have extensions for seatbelts?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they have seatbelt extensions for people who are really big.
Wow.
And again, if you want to be big, I don't care.
Right,
you just do what you want to do. Yeah. But there's not a microaggression because when you come to the radio station, the chairs are normal chairs. I didn't go out and buy for the radio station
hefty chairs,
big and tall chairs. Where do you go to get big?
Well, that's like at the roller coasters. On roller coasters, they have what they call the special seat for people that are heavy. Because a friend of mine is,
and that's why when you go up the hill, he goes good chunk, good chunk, good chunk, good chunk.
Yeah. A friend of mine is big and tall. He's not. I wouldn't call him a fat man. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
And he always has to ask for the special seat.
I have a great set of man moves going on.
Oh, I do
mean,
too.
you know,
Mine are
and
huge.
I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to do what I can. And by the way, when I was fatter, right, I sprung for the first class seats. Why? Because I have
room.
I'm a big, tall guy. I have an above average backside that barely fits in those seats. I don't need a lap belt extension. My knees are crammed into the guy in front of me. That's why I can't fly coach.
All right.
Because I'm over 4'8". In addition to those microaggressions,
you don't really complain about it. You don't think it's a microaggression.
No, of course not. I'm like, wow, thanks, God. I mean, I'm tall. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Well, the guy behind me got on the plane Thursday. The stewardess, can you say that? Flight attendant actually said, "How tall are you?" He goes, 6'7". She goes, "Wow, we're going to have to make more plane."
Yeah.
And he laughed, and I laughed, and the dog sitting next to me laughed because it really was a dog. I took a picture. Her name was Jayla. She was great. She was a poodle. Anyway.
Was she a comfort animal?
She was awesome, dude. She was awesome.
But was she on there for somebody's comfort?
Oh, it was great.
Oh, wow.
She was a great dog. In addition, quote, "The majority of readings in all your class syllabi feature only readings from white cisgender men," end quote. And let's not forget, quote, "monuments, artwork, or portraiture in public places that are predominantly white cisgender men and women." God forbid.
And this is an accredited school.
Makes for some challenging cognitive dissonance when you consider landmarks like the Lincoln Memorial and sculptures like the bust of Margaret Sanger.
Wow.
A white cisgender woman.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
So they're just not even teaching the history anymore.
Nope, doesn't care.
Wow.
Nope, don't care. The guide also, I can't believe it. The guide also offers help for recognizing and responding to microaggressions, as well as tips for, quote, "empowered bystander / upstander," end quote, and even the guilty party in the microaggression. If you're in the latter category, make sure you take heed of the steps the guide outlined for formulating an effective apology, including, quote, "an acknowledgement that social norms or expectations were violated. Then, of course, you must realize your privilege." Yeah, I realize my privilege.
You know, I got an analogy actually to this, and it just hit me. It's kind of like, you know, there's an old man sitting on the porch, and there's a little kid, and there's a sign that says, you know,
"Get off my grass."
Get off my grass. And he steps on the grass, and then the man says, "Get off my grass," because, you know, and the kid's like, "Well, no, because I'm, you know,
it's grass. I feel, I'm entitled to be on your grass."
This. Yeah, even though it's not yours. Exactly.
And Margaret Sanger, by the way.
Can I just point out, that was probably the worst analogy we have ever had.
Are you sure?
On the Earl and George show.
You sure? But no, it makes sense though. You know.
I want to ask why so bad.
Why?
I didn't follow you.
You didn't?
The guy's personal property is being violated by a kid, and he even has a sign that says "Stay off my grass." And the old guy says, "Get off my grass."
Yes, but the kid thinks that he's entitled just to stay on the grass. That's
it's freaking grass.
That's kind of what. No, but I'm saying, you know, if
it's
your property, you know, it's your boundaries.
Children need to be taught
it's your
about
boundaries.
Children need to be
people are entering into other people's boundaries.
Children need to be taught in school about private property laws.
No. I'm just talking about. You're just trying to.
No, I'm not trying. I've completely succeeded.
By the way, I want to correct.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I want to correct myself. I want to correct myself on the Margaret Sanger quote. It was, "We want to exterminate the Negro population."
Yeah, we got to make sure we get the quote right.
Yeah, we
gotta
want
make sure
to
we get the
exterminate. And they just said that she was an okay person to teach or to learn from. Margaret Sanger, this New York
white
University.
cisgender woman.
Right, that said, "We want to exterminate the Negro population." Who founded Planned Parenthood?
The new school is fighting back against microaggressions as well, encouraging students to document events, instances, when and where they took place to report them to school authorities. Quote, "acts of bias and discrimination are violations of the university policy on discrimination and may also be a violation of the student code of conduct, the sexual assault policy, and the sexual harassment policy, depending about..." Okay, can I just I love being sexually harassed. I just really do. Especially by smoking hot chicks in bikinis.
All right.
Would you come and harass me sexually, please? I don't get harassed enough. My wife is a smoking hot white chick. I would love for her to sexually harass me. Be like, hey, toots. You know? Be like, yes, honey. Bring the man boobs over here. I'm just kidding, by the way. Quote, these may take the form of behaviors, verbal remarks, written messages, drawings, and other kinds of images. End quote. Basically anything that they deem to be an aggressive or microaggressive or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. This is the we're going to take a quick break. This is the stuff that puts us into the situation we're in now. This is where we are. And this is why, 6 police officers were shot yesterday?
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
What do we want?
Doesn't all lives matter encompass black lives as well?
Not according to them.
Oh, what? All of this stuff is according to them.
Right.
All of it. We'll be right back. It's Earl and George. I'm going to go try to find someone who will sexually harass me. We'll be right back in 1 minute.
Hi, Mom. Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book? Hi. Sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at Understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown-up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Smoother than aged whiskey and tighter than turn 4 at Talladega. Earl and George.
New York hates you. California also hates you because California, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, has the largest number of hate groups in the country.
That's
well
impossible.
Done, California.
But that's impossible. There's so much diversity out there. It's kumbaya every day.
California ranks highest among the 50 states with nearly 80 different hate groups.
Wow.
But when you look at their map, they're all in Alabama.
Right.
Why? Because the Southern Poverty Law Center has groups on there devoted to the family, religious organizations that want to help your family, adoption agencies.
I was guilty of that. I just looked at the map, and from looking at the map, it looks like it's all in the South.
Was it the hate map you looked at?
Yeah.
The hate map? The hate map report shows 917 hate groups operating across the country. It includes data not only on white separatists, supremacists. Why is the word supremacists and not supremacist?
I don't know.
It's not supremacist because it's supremacy, but the root word of supremacy is supreme, so it would be a supremacist, not a supremacist. I call them white supremacists.
I do too.
Yeah,
now that you say that.
Yeah, it's white supremacist, not white supremacist.
It's like saying Chineses.
It's like saying Chineses, right? Dang those Chineses. Not only on white supremacists, quoting, but black separatist organizations and anti-LGBT groups. Yes, because, supporting heterosexual rights, which I've never ran into an organization that did that. That's a hate group. The credibility of the Southern Poverty Law Center is widely disputed, not only by conservative and Christian groups that promote traditional family values, but also by prominent progressives. Ken Silberstein. He's a Jew! Listen to the name! Those dang Jewses. In 2010, article in Harper's Weekly wrote, Southern Poverty Law Center, quote, shuts down debate, stifles free speech, and most of all, raises a pile of money, very little of which is used on behalf of poor people. End quote. Now, there's an update to the story, by the way.
Really?
I have it on the back here. I'm going to read it verbatim. That's Latin. It means I'm going to read all of it.
Doggone right.
Doggone right. Quote, this is the update. The Southern Poverty Law Center has come under increased criticism from both left and right, and both the left and the right for some of the organizations it's labeled as hate groups. For example, one of the organizations labeled as a hate group is the Family Research Council. Earl, would you do me a favor and look up the Family Research Council? By the way, the World Workers' Party is not listed as a hate group, even though they are the communists. The Family Research Council.
It's a non-profit charitable organization that is in America.
Let me guess. The Family Research Council, they are flag-waving, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, hate group extraordinaire. Is that what it says?
Not even close.
What's it say?
They are a conservative Christian group and lobbying organization. Its self-described mission is to, quote, to advance faith, family, and freedom in public policy and the culture from a Christian worldview.
Now, wait a minute. When you scroll down, it says they hate black people and brown people and Mexicans and Jews and Catholics and everybody who's different from them. They're basically Antifa, is what you're saying.
No,
No?
They're completely about the faith in the family. It was founded by James Dobson.
Yeah. Whoa, no, not James Dobson. He's a well-known
white supremacist.
Yes. Yeah. Way to go, Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, we got 5 minutes left. Paul, I'm just going to do a real quick. Because we've got more stories to get through, and we got 5. We're going to do a news roundup at the radio show. A new poll, by the way, from NPR. Yes,
I'm surprised we didn't get into this earlier.
National Public Radio. That's okay. National Public Radio conducted among 1,100 U.S. citizens by phone between August 14th and 15th. The overwhelming majority, 62%, say the monuments. They want their monuments to remain, while a small share, 27%, want them removed. So at NPR, you know that they cringed every time they got that answer.
Right.
And they were like, ugh.
I'm surprised they reported it.
I'm surprised they didn't change the questions to make it the other way round.
Right.
That's why I don't trust polls. Puerto Rico is facing a debt crisis. Who do they want to bail them out, Earl?
The United States government.
How much money do they want Congress to give them?
I have no idea. I'm sure
$74 billion.
Good grief.
Are they a state?
No.
This is what I think of this story. Have a nice day, everybody.
That was an awesome sound effect.
This is going to be a really bloody affair, Krauthammer says, on Bannon. Steve Bannon, now out of the White House. Conservative commentator Charles Krauthammer said that Steve Bannon's dismissal from the White House makes him immensely more powerful. The same thing happened to Van Jones, who's now on CNN.
Right.
Okay, the communist, Van Jones. Yeah. Steve Bannon, meanwhile, undermined the president's North Korea rhetoric, saying, quote, they've got us, which is something that I said last week. They're in control. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm not saying Steve Bannon's a nice guy. I'm not. I'm simply saying he was right. But you don't undermine the North Korea policy.
Of the president.
Fire and fury from the president means fire and fury. In a jarring interview, Bannon declares President Trump's presidency over. Just hours after being fired from his position as White House senior advisor Friday, Stephen Bannon declared the Trump presidency over. You know, these liberal organizations, man, they are foaming at the mouth. This is blood in the water to them.
That's what they want.
Steve Bannon is now their freaking champion. He's their hero.
Yep.
Why? Because to them, he's turning against the president. He said, I feel jacked up, he said. He said, now I'm free. I got my hands back on my weapons, Bannon said.
Which is Breitbarters.
Bannon the barbarian. I'm definitely going to crush the opposition. There's no doubt. It was announced that Bannon would return to his position at Breitbart News, which he left to join the Trump administration a year ago. He also said, where is it? He said that he could, he said, I built the effing machine at Breitbart, and now I'm about to go back, knowing what I know, and we're about to rev that machine up, and rev it up we will do. The Trump presidency we fought for and won is over, he said to Weekly Standard. We still have a huge movement, and we will make something of this Trump presidency, but the presidency is over. It'll be something else, and there'll be all kinds of fights, and there'll be good days and bad days, but that presidency is over, he said.
Wow.
The Republican establishment, this is still quoting, the Republican establishment has no interest in the Trump success. Okay, I got to go. We got to go. We got 75% of women fail to meet Marine combat standards.
No, say it ain't so.
And who's to blame for the Charlottesville massacre, the Charlottesville protest?
White males.
The NRA, according to Shannon Watts.
Oh, my God.
It's Earl and George, and we ran out of time. We have more stories. Man, it's a busy week.
Hey, that was a speedball section
Next
right there,
week,
for sure.
Next week, we will catch you here, 12 o'clock. You can download us on iTunes. Check us out on Spreaker Live, SoundCloud.
Just search Earl and George.
Just search Earl and George. Go to the website.
We're the only ones out there.
Go to Facebook and check us out. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Thanks for another great 2 hours. It seems like we need 3 now.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about it.
Mr. Producer, thank you very much. Spend that $1.50 we pay you wisely. Earl, have a great week.
You do the same, my friend.
Y'all have a great week. Get out there and do something nice for someone you don't know. Don't listen to the media. Do your own research. God bless everybody. We'll catch you next week. It's Earl and George.